It's Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. This is about the day where we actually have some meaningful practice reports that we can go through. The first one being, and the most disappointing one being, that Matthew Stafford does not practice again on Thursday. Now, Matthew Stafford does not need to practice to play. He doesn't. But with that being said, I would like to see him out there, right? I would like to see Matthew Stafford going and at least preparing to play. Now, the issue is, if we're going to go ahead and pull this up, let me see if we have an update here real quick. If you look at the spread on this Packers game, I mean, with how bad the Packers have been as of late, you would assume that the spread on this game would be, oh, okay, what? I mean, the Rams favored by a point. The Rams favored by 2. No, the Packers are favored by 3 here. So, with that data point, I think that the status of Matthew Stafford is very much going to be up in the air. If we try to project that going forward, I'd say if Stafford plays, obviously you're starting Cooper Kupp as well as Puka with utmost confidence. If Matthew Stafford doesn't, you're still starting Cooper Kupp, but lowering expectations down to probably Kupp as a mid-wide receiver 1 rather than a high-end wide receiver 1. And then Puka probably as a low-end wide receiver 2 rather than a high-end wide receiver 2. So really hope that we have Stafford playing. Now, DeAndre Hopkins will be playing tonight. David Njoku got in a limited practice. Now, Amari DeMercado did not practice again today. So at this point, probably a running back that if you were considering maybe playing like Najee Harris instead, just go with the guy that is going to be playing on Thursday. It'd be difficult for me to come out here and say to start someone in a very bad matchup where we don't even know if they're going to play or not, and they're not a super talented player in the first place. Now, this is an interesting thing in that Kyler Murray is not listed on the injury report for week 9. This is the same thing that we had last week, where we want to come out here and we would say, oh, okay, I guess Kyler's going to play. But last week he wasn't on the injury report, and last week he did not play either. You look at the spread in this game between the Cardinals and the Browns, it hasn't moved at all. It's anywhere from 7.5 to 9.5 points, depending on the sports book that you are looking at. So I'm assuming Kyler does not play. I definitely don't want to be, planning on Kyler Murray. Dude, do not be planning on Kyler. I think you probably want to see Kyler and then play him the following week. Josh Allen did get into practice, which is exciting. Daniel Jones did practice as well. Daniel Jones should be playing. Dameon Pierce did not practice. And if Dameon Pierce does not play, then you could potentially look at Devin Singletary. However, if Dameon Pierce plays, nobody is going to be good to go. Darren Waller officially ruled out. Not a super big surprise. Raheem Mostert, good to go. With Deshaun Watson, he did practice in a limited fashion. He was saying, I don't know if I'll play. Maybe I'll play. So very tough spot to know what to do when it comes to the Cleveland Browns, guys. Like we said, they are massive favorites over Arizona. I'm not going to be playing Deshaun Watson regardless. If Watson does play, however, I think that I would be a little more comfortable going out there and putting in someone like Amari Cooper, of course. But I think that should be the primary injury updates that we have for today. Of course, if you all have any questions about those, be happy to answer them in the live chats. And let's go ahead and let's dive into some of these other questions that we have. Now, first off, I want to point out to y'all my favorite pick'em for tonight. Derrick Henry to have more than half a total yard. That's only going to be if you're new to Underdog Fantasy. That's probably the number one pick'em. If you want that, use promo code FLOCK. Then also, I like Will Levis to have more than 215.5 total yards. But I'm also an idiot, so proceed with caution. But of course, if you ever wanted to check out any of these Underdog pick'ems, promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers, and a special pick'em. If you sign up before the game, it's going to be the Derrick Henry more than less than half a total yard on top of that. Let's move this over. Jonathan coming out saying, pick 2, Olave, Nico, and Deontay Johnson. I think we're going to go ahead. I think that we're going to play the combination of Olave and Oh, it's tough. I'm going to go Nico Collins. Deontay Johnson does have a really good matchup going up against Tennessee. However, if you look at the over-under of this game, it's supposed to be one of the lower scoring games of the week. It's at 36.5 points. Which, yeah, let me double check. This is actually the lowest scoring game of the week, according to Vegas Sportsbooks here. So, I mean, I don't necessarily know if we can be super, super excited about going out there and playing anybody in Pittsburgh, especially if Kenny Pickett's not fully healthy. Now, Ethan says traded Henderson, Rice for a Hollywood. What are your thoughts? If you don't need Henderson, then sure, go for it. And do you prefer Achane and Cook or Pollard rest of season? I'm going to go with Tony Pollard rest of season. Didn't really draft much Tony Pollard, but to be fair, if we are looking at Pollard, is there a running back that's going out there? He's averaging, I believe about 15 carries per game and about 5 receptions per game as well. Now, I'm says pick 2 BBR, Nico, Deontay, Godwin, and Puka. Probably be going with Godwin and Puka. If Matthew Stafford were to miss, then at that point, if you really wanted to pivot from Puka, I would be fine if you decided to do so. Now, LeBron says trade Addison for Jacobs Mixon. If so, which one? I would trade Jordan Addison for either. I would probably prefer Joe Mixon based off of Burrow being fully healthy, though. Kobe says Hollywood or Jacoby Myers this week. Hollywood does have a very tough matchup. Now, with that being said, Jacoby Myers, there's a lot of uncertainty with this situation. I mean, really hard to know what to expect in general. I probably am going to go ahead. I'm probably going to take Hollywood Brown. But Myers does have upside. It just really does come down to what do you think about all the pieces moving around in Las Vegas? The GOAT says just traded Judy for Deontay. Was this a dub? Hell yes, this was a dub. I mean, Judy had a shot to be someone we can be excited about. Sutton had a shot to be someone that we could be excited about. But one of them had to be dealt, right? If Sutton was sent away, then, oh, Judy's exciting. If Judy was sent away, then, oh, Judy's exciting. But no, both of them still there in a bad offense. Not excited. The fella says flex Hopkins or Devonta Smith. And should I trade Bijan for Waddle and Eckler? My other running backs are Ramadre, Hunt, James Conner, the IR. Want to flip Waddle for Brees? I'm going to go Smith over Hopkins. As we were saying, I'm a massive Will Levis fan. I interviewed him at the draft. He was the nicest guy ever to me. I am strongly rooting for Will Levis. But right now, Las Vegas Sportsbooks are saying this is going to be the lowest scoring game of the week. So if that's the case, I probably want to be avoiding this game where we can. And then trading Bijan for Waddle and Eckler. Assuming this is a redraft league, I'd rather have Eckler over Bijan straight up. Even though I was drafting Bijan over Eckler all season. A lot of this has to do with the injury to Mike Williams, with the fact that, Quentin Johnston is just bad and Eckler has that massive guaranteed volume. Now, Uncle Dud says 6-2, 12-team PBR. We have Jefferson and Achane hurt. We need an RB2, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. Between Foreman, Sanders, Chuba Hubbard, Zach Charbonnet, Thielen, Myers, Douglas, Deontay. Lineup blocks are Allen, Walker, and Andrews. Hashtag flock up. Appreciate you, my friend. Our RB2 will be Chuba Hubbard, and honestly, going to be very comfortable with that. Our 2 wide receivers are going to be Adam Thielen and we're going to go Adam Thielen, Deontay Johnson, put Jacoby Myers in there at the flex spot. Keep in mind, never wanting to flex someone on Thursday night, but yeah, can't play Foreman, can't play Sanders, can't play Zach Charbonnet. I think you play Chuba Hubbard and then all 3 wide receivers, and then can't play Douglas. Mark says Downs or Deontay tonight. We have Warren as well. As we were mentioning, really not excited to go through and play anybody in the game tonight where we can avoid it. Now, this is about the range where I would be fine just going ahead. I would be fine just playing Deontay Johnson. Now, Charles says Devonta Smith or DeAndre Hopkins. I'm going to go Smith over Hopkins. Really am rooting for Will Levis, but it's hard to ignore what Vegas Sportsbooks are saying. Now, Uncle Fresh says 1 receiver, 1 running back, and a flex between Deontay, Higgins, White, and Ramadre. Running back, we're going to go White. Wide receiver, we're going to go full BVR will play both wide receivers. Play White, both wide receivers, and then bench Ramadre. And keep in mind, we're never going to be putting a Thursday night guy in there at the flex. Ricky says PBR 12-team league. Trade Kittle and DK for Mark Andrews. If it is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, yes, sir. Please give me Mark Andrews. Jay Wook says Tajee or Zach Charbonnet. Also Pickens or Addison. I'm going to be going Addison over Pickens this week with no Jefferson, even if the offense is going to be horrendous. And then we will go with Tajee Spears. Neither running back is a great matchup. Tajee Spears is the longer track record of usage as a receiver, though. Wyatt says Kincaid or Hawkinson. I have these guys ranked back-to-back. I have Hawkinson tied in 3 this week. Kincaid tied in 4. Kincaid is a beautiful matchup. It's going to be in a much better offense as well. So not going to fault you at all if you wanted to go ahead and if you wanted to take Dalton Kincaid. I'm probably going to take TJ Hawkinson at least one more week for us to see the Kincaid production. Now, Price says 12-team started quarterback, Baker, Love, Howell, or Stroud. Ooh, tough spot to be in overall. I mean, obviously, Sam Howell's been the best guy out of this list as of late. The issue is, can we continue to project Sam Howell to have 40, 50 passing attempts a game? I don't think so, so I'm probably going to go ahead and I'm probably going to take CJ Stroud. Now, Miggs says, start 1, Levis, Mac Jones, Heineke, Young. I will go with Will Levis and send up a prayer that the underdog Pickham's wrong and he blows past 215 yards. Start 2 running backs in a flex. Royce, Jeb Wilson Jr., Michael Wilson, Charbonnet, Mingo, Quentin Johnston. We will go Royce. Oh my gosh. Royce, Charbonnet, and oh my gosh. Michael Wilson didn't even practice this week. I guess Jonathan Mingo. And then tight end Everett, Logan Thomas, or Donald Parham. Appreciate you, my friend. We will go Logan Thomas there at tight end. Baby Genius says Dak for a late first. Where are the dynasty vids? I prefer Dak in a super flex over a late first. And then, yes, I told myself I was going to keep on doing dynasty videos during the season. But full transparency, my friend, I am on day 188 of us live streaming every single day. Plus, I'm training for an Ironman. Plus, I am working my butt off to improve flockfantasy.com for everybody. So I am just simply running on empty at this point. Believe it or not, we are running on empty. So I'm excited to get the Dynasty videos going again. Just in case you're not already, subscribe to us on Dynasty Football Flock. That's where we post all off season. But yeah, I told myself I was going to be posting there during the season as well. I just simply am running out of energy, my man. I'm spreading myself too thin. Ronald says 10-team PBR trade CMC for Amon-Ra St. Brown Cup. We have Kamara, Brees, Adams, and Avonta Smith. If it is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, I'm just going to keep CMC. 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. Just give me the best player. Now, obviously, if it was a league where you start like 3 wide receivers, 2 flex, then we're going to go with the cup side. Flex says, need a second opinion on some trades I made. It's a 10-team full BBR Dynasty League. I traded away a future first and Jameson for Devonta Smith. If it is a 1 quarterback format, I like it. If it's a super flex league, it's going to be a little bit tougher. Also, redraft, I did Warren and Roshan for Kincaid. That second one's phenomenal. Yeah, love the second deal. The first one's maybe a little bit tougher. Okay. Now, Just Sherman says, traded Moss, Henderson for Debo Waller. How did we do? 7-1. We have Allen, Bijan, Walker, Kamara, Puka, Garrett Wilson, Ingram, Njoku, Waller, Debo, Watson, Charbonnet, Mercado. And should we upgrade wide receiver or tight ends? I like the deal. We already upgraded up wide receiver. I'd love to upgrade over tight end if we can. I mean, I would rather just go through and sell Waller for anything we can get. We have Evan Ingram. We have Ingram that we can start every single week. I like the trade for Debo Samuel. And yeah, great team overall. Obviously, if you're a 7-1, you're doing something right here, my friend. But thank you so much for being a long-time member of the flock. You know, I appreciate you. Now, Mig says Pollard and Samuel or DK and Montgomery. Happy BR. Much love. Much love, my friend. Debo versus DK. Give me DK, but it's close. Pollard versus Montgomery. Give me Pollard. I'm going to go Pollard. I think he's the best player in the deal. With that being said, Pollard is my least drafted player out of these guys. I hope I'm wrong. Trust me, I don't have a lot of Tony Pollard. But looking at the workload, looking at the offense, I do think the Pollard turns around things soon. Now, Jeffrey says 12-team non-PPR is 6-2. Traded HN and Gus for ETN. Phenomenal move, even in a non-PPR format. I'll say non-PPR league. You are a little bit more excited about Gus Edwards there in comparison to a full PPR format. But no, great trade. The team is Allen, CMC, White, ETN, Cup, Amari, Hollywood, Andrews. And then on the bench, we have Downs, Palmer, Singletary, Tank, and Njoku, Jamal. Was this a good move? Deadline's tomorrow. Any other trades? Can everybody in the live chat let me know, when is your trade deadline? If you know when it is, please everybody spam the chat and give me a heads up. Is this something we need to start preparing for right now? All my trade deadlines in all my dynasty leagues are for the fantasy football playoffs. So typically, I don't think you should have a trade deadline until the playoffs. But non-PPR format, the only thing I'd say is if you really wanted to take like Downs and Hollywood and go send them for a viable upgrade at wide receiver, go send them for a viable upgrade at running back for the flex, I would look for it. Send in non-PPR format, the wide receiver depth's not going to matter, but great trade. Okay, so November 3rd, so tomorrow, week 11, the 24th, 16th, 10th. How do y'all know this off the top of your head? 14, 10, 29th, week 14, 28th, 23rd, 18th. Okay, so it looks like most people still have 2 to 3 weeks before their trade deadline. Okay. But our next question coming out from, I believe, El Bucketeer says trading Jonathan Taylor and Puka for Diggs. I think it depends on your team. I mean, I am not opposed to trading Puka if we are getting the right price. Jonathan Taylor is someone that I'm very biased with. I drafted a lot of Jonathan Taylor. I am rooting for him. And he's a great matchup against Carolina this week. I think potentially he does go out there, and I think he crushes it. Sean says, Pollard for Rashad White, Amari, and Gibbs. Very much dependent on your league settings. If this is a league where you start 2 wide receivers in a flex and it's like a 10-team format, I don't care. Just give me the best player. Give me Pollard. However, if this is like a 12-team league with 2 flex spots where you don't necessarily have a ton of depth on your team right now, then hell yeah, we would take the package. So it's very hard to know without knowing the context of the deal. Now, Jeremiah says 4-4, 10-team full BBR. We have Dak, Kyler, Pollard, Stevenson, Madison, Diggs, Keenan, Pittman, Deontay, Kittle. Any trades that we should be looking to make? Great team. The only thing I'd say is if you can move off of like Deontay and Kittle and go pivot over and instead get someone like Mark Andrews, I think that'd make a lot of sense in that if you are looking at Mark Andrews versus Kittle, I think that Kittle can see the fall off sooner. And that Kittle has had some crazy splits with and without Deebo Samuel over the past 3 seasons. He's literally averaging double the points per games with no Deebo Samuel in comparison to with Deebo. Double. It's wild. Big Diesel says Waddle or Adams rest of season. We just made our rest of season wide receiver rankings, my friend. And I put Adams at 12 and Waddle at 13. So I put them back to back. Jesus says, Hopkins or Deontay? I think floor, Deontay, ceiling, Hopkins. And start 2, Brian Robinson, Aaron Jones, Kareem Hunt. I'm going to go Aaron Jones and Kareem Hunt. Really no appeal in Brian Robinson at this moment. Now, David says 12-team, full BBR, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex. 7-1. We have Hurts, Taylor, Brees, Diggs, Lamb, Olave, Andrews, Swift. Traded Flowers and Pittman for Olave and Rice today. So Pittman to Olave upgrade. Flowers to Rice downgrade. You've helped me so much. Team is nasty. 100% the team is nasty. Full transparency, I think the trade's kind of whatever. I do think that's a fair deal, kind of up to your personal preference. I could see an argument for either side. But the overall team, yeah, is phenomenal. Congrats on the disgusting build here, my friend. And obviously, you know that was being 7-1. Now, Jay Spike says, would you trade away Puka for Collins and Stroud? I would rather have Puka. Ryan says 7-1, 10-team BBR single flex. We have Allen, Kelsey, Chase, Keenan, Watson, Sutton, Jason, Jacobs, Gibbs, Montgomery, Hunt, Warren, Algier, Henderson. Start who and any moves. We have Amari DeMercado on the waiver wire. Don't bother picking him up. He didn't practice today. Think can be way less excited about him overall. So we have the elite quarterback, the elite tight end. We're phenomenal at wide receiver. This is an absurd team. I think we start Kareem Hunt, Darrell Henderson at running back. Wide receiver, we're going to go Chase Keenan. Actually, no, I apologize. Chase Keenan, wide receiver. We're going to go Watson at the flex. Jacobs, Henderson at RB. I overlooked Jacobs. Definitely wanted to play Josh Jacobs. I'm sorry. And yeah, honestly, I don't even think we look to make any moves with that team. I think you're in a great spot. Now, Nick says, Downs or Rice? Rice and London is making me question it. Yeah, I have these guys ranked back-to-back. Ultimately, it is up to you. I will say it should be a very high-scoring game against Miami, so I kind of think you want to have some fun maybe and just play Rice. Ham says, Amon-Ra and Connor or Adams and Achane. Give me Achane over Connor. Give me Amon-Ra over Adams. And then Taysom and McBride. We're going to go McBride in a full PPR league, Taysom in a non-PPR format. And I think the trade, honestly, is a fair deal, and I do think it's up to you. Pop Swiss says, what's up, Mason? Pick 2. We need a receiver and a flex. Between Deontay, Addison, Cooks, Myers, Hunt, and Kincaid. Thank you. Thank you. And if you have a tight end that's better than Kincaid, my friend, you need to go out there and you need to look to trade one of these tight ends, right? You got to go get some value out of one of them. And assuming it's a full BBR format, we're not going to overthink it. We're just going to play Deontay Johnson and Jordan Addison. Obviously, Kareem Hunt has been scoring a ton of touchdowns, but I mean, while I do like Kareem Hunt, and I have him a lot of underdog drafts, so I hope I'm wrong. Ultimately, he's in a 3-man running back by committee. He's been inefficient, and he's not catching the ball. I think it's a clear sell high moment. Well, let me refresh this so we can keep bringing them up. I believe our next question will come out from Remy. And as I do this, if you have not done so already, ladies and gentlemen, please go down there. Hit that like button on this live stream. Looks like exactly 10% of y'all have hit that like button, so thank you so much. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat in the description in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And on top of that, a Derrick Henry special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard. And my favorite pick'em for tonight is going to be Will Levis for more than 215 and a half total yards, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Remy says, hey, Mason, 3-5, 8-team happy BR format. We have Hurts, Chase, Smith, Kamara, Henry, Hockenson, Swift. And then on the bench, we have Ingram, Pollard, Addison, DJ Moore, Moss. Am I crazy for benching Pollard this week? And then any moves to suggest? Phenomenal team. I think that if you have a roster like this in an 8-team league, I'd be looking to go out there and see if we could sell, like, say, Hockenson and Pollard and go get Travis Kelce. I think that'd make a lot of sense. And then in terms on if you're crazy for benching Pollard, I mean, you're playing Derrick Henry, Kamara, and Swift over him. I would play Pollard over Derrick Henry. I understand your thought process, though, right, in that it is a very tough matchup for Tony Pollard going up against Dallas. Henry says, sent AJ Montgomery, Judy Ferguson for Eckler, Thielen, DK. It's a full BBR double flex. Now we have Herbert, Bijan, Eckler, Mixon, Ramadre, DK, Garrett, Thielen, Laporta, Kincaid, JSN, Myers. 3-5 and going to face the Jalen Hurts owner this week. Okay. Don't really care if we were facing the Jalen Hurts owner in terms of us making a trade with AJ Brown. I think it's irrelevant, to be honest. AJ to Eckler in a full BBR double flex format, up to you. Montgomery to Thielen, full BBR, kind of up to you. Judy Ferguson versus DK, give me DK. Especially if we had Kincaid at tight end. So I think that is a fine trade. I don't want to come out here and act like, oh yeah, no brainer, you robbed the man. No, I don't think that was the case. But if you want to bet in on Austin Eckler to be that top 3 RB rest of season, completely fine with it. Now, Devin says, trade Jerome Ford for Dalton Kincaid. Yes, I would in a heartbeat. Ford's my third running back. We have Thomas Ferguson at tight end with Freiermuth on the IR. We only need to have a tight end. Yes. I think that is a phenomenal price point for Dalton Kincaid. Now, Fishing Bass says, wide receiver pick 2, happy BR. Jacoby, Godwin, Hopkins, Downs, Addison. Thanks. Thank you, my friend. I'm going to go with Addison and Godwin most likely. I know a lot of people want to get into Hopkins. I'm just worried. Like we said, Las Vegas has this game as the lowest scoring game of the week. I don't necessarily know if we want to be super excited to go out there and put pieces of our lineup in here. David, yeah, I figured you were trying to say Andrews. Now, G Medina says, what's up, Mason? Happy BR. Do I get on the hype train and go Levis over Love this week? My only 2 quarterback options. And do we go McLaurin or Pickens this week? Thanks. Thank you. I think we are going to go with McLaurin over Pickens now that Deontay's good to go. I would love for Will Levis to be a better option than Jordan Love. I'm really rooting for Will Levis. But like we were saying, his underdog Pickens 202 passing yards, right? He's projected out to be in the worst the worst game environment of any player this week. So while I'm really hoping that Will Levis does outproduce Jordan Love, I think you have to play Love over Levis. I'm hoping we can come out after the game and go, so wrong, so wrong, so wrong. Of course I'm wrong. I'm an idiot. In reality, I don't know. Mason says Najee or Rice at the flex. I think you have a higher ceiling with Rice. I think you have a higher floor with Najee Harris. Full PPR format, I'd probably go Rice. Non-PPR, probably go Harris. To the max says 12-team PPR being offered Kyler and McBride for Higgins and Jerome Ford. We have Dak, Mixon, JT, HN, Chase, Waddle, Puka, Lockett, Kmet, Love. Do we accept or hold? I would say I probably hold that for more value, but I personally am very excited from what you're going to get of T. Higgins going forward. If you think that Kyler Murray is a significant value add over Dak Prescott, then you can make the move if you want. You can make the move if you really want to. Now, Expired Cal says, start 2, Devonta Smith or Deontay. I'm going to go Smith, and then Goddard or Kincaid. I'm going to go Kincaid over Dallas and Goddard. Cameron says, would you do Aaron Jones for Javonte Williams? I think you probably prefer Javonte at this point, given the fact Javonte had 30 touches last week. It's tough. If you would have asked me last week, I'd have said, oh, no interest in Javonte. He's in a 3-man running back by committee and one of the worst offenses in the NFL. But it looks like it maybe's changed. Now, Armando, longtime member of the Flock, says, hey, Mason, 12-team league. We have Lamb, Ayuk, Terry, Ridley, Rice, Henry, Gus, Henderson, Charbonnet, HN. Any trade advice? Gus and Terry for Pacheco. Or Gus, Charbonnet, Ayuk for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I would take Pacheco if that was the best deal we had, but I would love the Amon-Ra St. Brown trade. Operating under the assumption it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league where the depth doesn't matter, and it's at full PBR format, hell yes, especially as we're preparing to get back in Devon Achane. I would love to send Gus, Charbonnet, and Brandon Ayuk for St. Brown. That'd be a no-brainer, my friend. Now, Husky Baba says, I got offered Cheetah for ETN and Devonta Smith. I think I probably go with Tyreek Hill, and Travis Etienne's one of my most drafted players this year. Travis Etienne's one of my most drafted guys, but I think we go Tyreek Hill. Flawless says PBR, Herbert, Keenan, Jefferson for Chase, Burrow, Olave. Jefferson to Chase, big time upgrade. Herbert to Burrow, probably going to be Burrow at this point. Keenan to Olave, big time downgrade. I think it is a fair deal, up to you. If Kirk Cousins was healthy, I'd say the Justin Jefferson side, no, not close. But with the Kirk Cousins injury, I think if you wanted to make the play for Jamar Chase, go for it. Now, Exelon says, yo, full PBR start Higgins or Hopkins. I'm actually probably going to go Higgins over Hopkins now. Like we said, I mean, the over-under of this game here is 36.5 points for the Titans-Steelers. The lowest of any game in the NFL this week. I'm not too excited to play anybody here. Mark says, Pacheco, Addison for Devonta Smith. or Walker Pacheco for Swift. I am probably not excited about either or. I think you were selling Pacheco too cheaply. I understand Pacheco disappointed us with what we were expecting from him last week against Denver. But no, I think you need to be charging a larger premium. Dylan says, PBR need 2 flexes between Jones, Moss, Hopkins, Michael Thomas. We're going to go Hopkins and Aaron Jones in a full PPR league. If it was a non-PPR format, I think we could pivot to Zach Moss. Ryan says, have PPR 6 and 2. Jacobs, JT, Kyler versus Brees and Achane. Jacobs, Brees, up to you. JT, Kyler versus Achane. Give me JT, Kyler. So I'm going to go with Jacobs, JT, and Kyler. TK says 10-team PPR double flex. 5 and 3. We have Stroud, Walker, Mixon, Diggs, Pittman, Higgins, Flowers. And then on the bench, Ridley, Cook, Moss, Williams, Douglas, Dotson, Carr. Should we start Moss or Cook? I think it's a good question. Obviously, you have a very good matchup for Zach Moss here. Now, with that being said, I'm actually probably going to go ahead. I'm probably just going to be starting James Cook this week. I think he's in a much higher scoring game environment. He's in a better offense. I do think, as another side note as well, I can almost guarantee you that if you're in a 10-team league here, you'll have a better option off the waiver wire than Douglas. I think Douglas is one of these low ceiling, high floor options that's going to be very equivalent to a lot of the other waiver wire options that you would be looking at. So I probably would go through and I'd probably just let go of Douglas as well. Now, Troy says 12-team full BBR double flex. Just traded away Ramondre, Kittle, Dobbs for Barkley and Gabe Davis. Ramondre, Kittle versus Barkley. Give me Barkley relatively easily. And then Dobbs versus Gabe Davis. Give me Gabe Davis. We have Herbert, Barkley, Henderson, Hill, Puka, Goddard, DJT. And then on the bench, Jameson, Gabe, Montgomery, Charbonnet. Oh, great team. So I think a couple different things that we can say here. Joshua Kelly can be a clear-cut candidate in that we already saw what Joshua Kelly looks like in the best-case scenario where you have Austin Eckler injured, and he is still not startable in that instance. I would probably rather drop him, and now that we traded away George Kittle, even though we have Dallas Goedert, I'd be fine if you wanted to pick up another tight end off the waiver wire instead that you think maybe has a little more upside. And since this is a 12-team double flex format, I think we're probably going to be done with the moves after this point. I mean, if it was a single flex league, I'd be fine saying, oh, okay, you know what? Actually, let's go through and let's continue to make trades. Let's go send another one of these bench pieces and let's go get an upgrade in the starting lineup. But we already sold out that depth that we had. So at this point, will be much less exciting to try to continue to make that play. Now, Starry says, you didn't like my Brees Hall for Adam Thielen trade. So I hope you like this one. Walker, Hopkins, Moss for Austin Eckler. 12-team BBR. I like this one, my friend. Yes, full BBR format. Give me Austin Eckler here. I think that if you are looking at some of these smaller pieces, they have been great, but I mean, it's hard to project them to continue to be top 5 options at their respective positions going forward. So just pivoting off of Kenneth Walker and some smaller pieces to get to Austin Eckler, I think makes a lot of sense. And I drafted way more Kenneth Walker than Eckler this year. I hope I'm wrong. Miller says, can we do Pickens and Devontae Adams? Pickens and Puka for Devontae Adams and Montgomery. It's a double flex league. Thanks. Thank you. Puka to Devontae Adams. Probably give me Puka, but it's very close. Pickens versus Montgomery. Give me Montgomery, and it's not close. So, yes, I would go get Adams and Montgomery here, my friend. Johnny says, 10-team PBR 5 and 3. My Swift and Dak for Kupp and Olave. Give me Kupp over Swift. Give me Olave over Dak. So, hell yeah. Go get Kupp and Olave. Combat Cash Club says, 12-team PBR. Who to start at RB2. Limited options due to bye week. Antonio Gibson, Zach Charbonnet, Cam Akers. You're the best. Glad to be a member of the flock. Happy to have you, as always, my friend. And do not like this question. Not happy to see this question in particular. Now, if we are looking at going through and making a play here, probably will start Zach Charbonnet. Charbonnet did see the majority of snaps this past week in this backfield. But with that being said, it was in a game that Kenneth Walker was hurt, and now you have a very tough matchup again for Zach Charbonnet going up against the Baltimore Ravens. So I don't want to act like I am excited about this. By no means am I excited about it, but I think we probably go ahead. I think we probably just play Zach Charbonnet. Now, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we are 1 like away from hitting 200 likes on this live stream. If you have not done so already, please go down there, hit that like button, help us get to 200. And of course, if you wanted to check out any of these pick'ems for tonight's game, my favorite currently is going to be Will Levis for more than 215.5 total yards. You can find that link in the live chat in the description in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK will get you a 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers, and that Derrick Henry special pick'em more than less than half a total yard as well. So make sure you take advantage. Now, Augustin says, need 2 receivers and a flex between Hopkins, Deontay, Olave, Cup. We're going to go Olave, Cup easily for the wide receivers. Between Hopkins, Deontay, I think you have a higher floor with Deontay, a higher ceiling with Hopkins. Honestly, it is kind of going to be up to you, assuming it's a full PPR format. If it's a non-PPR league, I think you just go Hopkins. Now, Raphael says 3 and 4. Should I be looking to trade Jefferson and Walker? And who should we start between Higgins or Walker? We're going to go Walker over Higgins until we see Higgins 100%. And I'd say no, we shouldn't be looking to trade these guys. I mean, if you could pivot off Jefferson, go get Lamb, go get St. Brown, then sure, let's do it. In reality, you're probably not going to be able to, right? Like we can say, oh yeah, let's trade away Justin Jefferson. Kirk Cousins getting injured hurts Jefferson. But obviously everybody in your league understands that, and his value's gone down dramatically because of it. Now, Edwards says 10 team, have BBR. 1 QB, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, a tight end, 3 flexes. So this is actually a format where we're going to be building around wide receiver. We can start 6 of them. We have Burrow, CMC, Jacobs, AJ Brown, Pittman, Puka, Taysom Hill, Gabe Davis, Thielen, Najee. Would you make any moves? So we can start AJ Brown, Pittman, Puka, Gabe Davis, Thielen. This is a phenomenal team. I would say no, I'm not looking to make any moves. I think you're constructed the exact way I would want to be, specifically in this format where you have the 3 wide receivers and 3 flex spots. Tight end's going to make up such a small percentage of your starting lineup output from a week-to-week perspective that I think it makes so much sense for us to go out there and just punt tight end and just throw in Taysom Hill. Now, Ozama says, should I start Myers or Godwin? I'm going to go Godwin over Myers until we at least get some more clarity on what this situation is in Las Vegas. Anthony says, I'm so wanting to start Levis over Gardner Minshew this week. I would want to as well. The issue is if you're just looking at any realistic projections, they're saying you can't. How bad is this move? We lost Cousins and my Addison Hawkinson stack lost serious power. That is brutal, my friend. I'm so sorry to hear it. Like going back to what we were talking about previously, let's just look at the underdog pick'ems here for baseline expectations. I like Will Levis. Like I said, interviewed him at the draft. He was way nicer to us than he had to be. I like him for more than 215.5 total yards, but that's what his pick'em's at currently, 215.5 total yards. Whereas if we're going to go ahead and look at Gardner Minshew, on the other hand, this is a quarterback that should be playing in a much higher scoring game environment. And Gardner Minshew, you have at almost 240 total yards. So I don't know. I would have a very hard time starting Levis over Minshew, even if maybe it'd be the more fun play. Matt says 6 and 2, 10 team full BBR double flex. We have Tua, Swift, White, Hill, Garrett Wilson, Zay, Deontay, Hawkinson, Rice, Javonte, Dell, Madison. Any moves or suggestions? Double flex league, depth's going to matter just a little bit more. I mean, I'd say we have so much of it. If you could just go and sell Madison and Rice or Madison and Dell or Madison and Deontay and go get a player that we're excited about for the flex spot, just go get a marginal upgrade anywhere we would. I mean, especially if we're looking at all these players down there on the bench being exciting for you, it does put you in a little bit of a tougher spot. And like, what can we do to make waiver wire moves, right? Looks like it'd be very difficult to go through and cut anybody here. So 2-for-1 deal in general, I think would be advantageous. Now, Kier says 6 and 2, 12 team PBR double flex. We have Allen, Diggs, Devontae, Brees, Montgomery, Ingram, T, Garrett Wilson. And then on the bench, we have Khalil, Zay, Dak, Burks, Leonard Fournette, Dermicado, Henderson. Olave under 2 and 6. Who do I trade for? Okay. If you wanted to go get Olave, I mean, if you could send maybe like Garrett Wilson and get Olave in return, you could try that. Or maybe say we could attack the team that just lost Kirk Cousins, the team that lost Anthony Richardson, the team that lost Justin Fields, and go see if we could send them maybe like Dak Prescott and get a viable running back or wide receiver in return, like Dak Prescott and Darrell Henderson, and go get a running back that we're significantly more excited about. I think that could be something we look to do, my friend. Now, Leo the Leak says 12-team double flex PBR. We have Lawrence, Pollard, Walker, Kupp, Diggs, Kincaid, Adams, Deontay, Debo, Rice, Royce, Jamal, Derek Carr. Any trades you'd recommend? First off, love to pick up a Derek Carr this week, particularly when you have Lawrence on bye. We have the running backs at the top, and we have wide receivers at the top, and we have Dalton Kincaid breaking out. Phenomenal team. I don't think we look to do anything right now. Honestly, I think we're just going to be sitting on our hands, especially in a double flex format. And then maybe we can reevaluate once we actually have Deebo Samuel back in. But great team. I don't think you need to do anything. Sixel says start McLaurin or Addison this week. If you look at the underdog pick'ems, they're going to tell you to go ahead. They are going to tell you to take Terry McLaurin. I am hesitant to believe that you're going to continue to get 40 to 50 passing attempts every single week here in Washington. So honestly, I'm going to go Addison, but like I was saying, I am most likely wrong. Now, the name I can never pronounce, Diggs and Gibbs for Hopkins and Kamara. Diggs over Kamara, Gibbs over Hopkins. Give me Diggs and Gibbs, my friend. And it's also fun to say. Now, Hampleton says, PBR, would you trade Mostert and Pittman for Hollywood in either Saquon or Mixon in an 8-team league? So Pittman to Hollywood will be a slight downgrade. Mostert to Saquon will be a big-time upgrade. So yes, I would do this if we can get Saquon Barkley. I'm not super confident in this Giants offense getting better, but there is the outside chance that they do get better as you get Daniel Jones back in here. Now, Mike says, trade advice. I got offered Brandon Ayuk for Tyler Higbee and Chuba Hubbard. Give me Brandon Ayuk relatively easily. And should we start Dotson or Palmer in the flex this week? Love the stream. Appreciate you, my friend. I am going to go Joshua Palmer over Jahan Dotson, even if you have no Curtis Samuel. As we were mentioning previously, I just have a hard time believing that we get 40 to 50 pass attempts every week here for Sam Howell in this offense. Now, Danny says, start one, Spears, Jeff Wilson, Devin Singletary, or Royce Freeman. We are going to hold out hope that Dameon Pierce misses, and if Dameon Pierce misses, then we can go Devin Singletary. If Dameon Pierce plays, then we probably just play Royce Freeman. But it's tough, right? Because if we knew that Dameon Pierce was going to play, then you just go Dameon Pierce. I'm sorry, you just go Tajee Spears. I apologize. Just says, Etienne's on bye. My running back options are Royce or Tajee Spears. We're going to go Spears. And I know we just said Royce in the last question, but that's because we're holding out hope that maybe Singletary's starting back in Houston. And then also is Puka a start this week? Puka is a start, but if Stafford misses, you need to dramatically lower expectations. Now, Alex says traded Chase for Jefferson and Pittman. 5 and 3 in a 10-team league. We have Hurts, Bijan, Aaron Jones, DJ Moore, Terry Ridley, JSN. Great team. Okay. Great team, but I will be honest with you. I do not like this trade. I would have really liked it if Kirk Cousins was fully healthy. But now that you have no Cousins, and on the other end of the spectrum, Joe Burrow is 100%, I think that I would rather just pay up for Jamar Chase. And then now, honestly, maybe we're in the other end of that boat where now we're going to be trying to take like Pittman or DJ Moore and send him with Aaron Jones and go get a stud RB. Right? Go send like Pittman and Aaron Jones, try to go get like Tony Pollard. Now, Jim Bin says PBR, Stroud, Carr, or Levis. Actually going to go Carr. They have the 4th highest implied team total of any team this week going up against Chicago. And then Atlanta or Green Bay's DST if Stafford doesn't play. Ooh. I still probably go Atlanta against a Minnesota team with no Cousins, with no Jefferson. And then play 3, Thomas, Kmet, Ferguson, and McBride. Thanks, Space. Thank you, my friend. We will go Cole Kmet. Has been by far and away the best player out of that group. I do think that it gets a little closer, though. Cody, always happy to see us, says, should I trade for Jefferson? We're 4-4 in the 3rd seed. 7 teams are 4-4. We have Lawrence, Kyler, Etienne, Pollard, James Cook, Henderson, Gibbs, Freeman, Roshan, Diggs, Ayuk, Pickens. Wants an RB, doesn't need a QB. If you could send like Jahmyr Gibbs and Brandon Ayuk for Justin Jefferson on this team, then yes. You don't want to be in doing that deal with ETN. You don't want to be doing that deal with Pollard. Like I was saying, like previous to the Cousins injury, obviously you could be very excited to go out there and trade for Jefferson. But now I think you get a combination of factors. I think you get one, Justin Jefferson no longer being incentivized to rush himself back from an injury to try to compete. Looks like they're not competing regardless. Two, when he is back in, the efficiency is going to be dramatically down. So like I'm fine trading for Jefferson, but I want to make sure we are getting a nice price point while we do so. The Notorious One says, please give me some advice on the team. We have Eckler, JT Lamb, Allen, Kincaid. Oh, great team. Amon-Ra, Kyler, Addison, Goddard, Dell, Connor, Ferguson, Levis, Hal, Khalil. Phenomenal team. The only thing that I'd say is probably don't want to be rostering 3 QBs. I think that we're going to let go of either Will Levis or Sam Howell, whichever one you don't want to start this week. Go pick up another running back off the waiver wire that you like the upside of, but great team top to bottom. And honestly, you have enough depth if you wanted to send like Addison and Kyler and go try to get to like a stud QB like Lamar. I'd try. Now, Big Diesel says 8-team PPR, 3 RBs, 3 receivers, single flex, 5 and 3. We have Hurts, Eckler, ETN, Brees, Hunt, AJ, Adams, Higgins, Hollywood, Deontay, Olave, Kincaid. Any moves? Maybe another top wide receiver one. I think with all these, this is nuts. I think that we have the ability to go out there and sell someone like Deontay Johnson and Brees Hall. Now see if we can just get to a running back that's in a slightly higher tier in an 8-team format. Probably would be looking to do that. I don't necessarily think you want to be trading for another receiver. I'd rather be selling these wide receivers. Or if you could send like Hollywood and Dalton Kincaid and pivot over to like Mark Andrews, I think that'd be a move that I'm looking to make as well. Specifically in that 8-team format, that is. Okay. Now Dylan says 6-2, 12-team league. Traded Swift, Cup, Lawrence, Hopkins for Olave, Amon-Ra, Pollard. What do you think? Teams now, Kyler, Jacobs, Pollard, AJ Olave, and Njoku T. And then on the bench, we have Amon-Ra, Ingram, Spears, Pierce, Palmer, Dotson. Thanks, man. Appreciate you, my friend. Going from Swift to Amon-Ra, give me Amon-Ra. Or let's go Cup to Amon-Ra, give me Amon-Ra. Swift to Pollard. I have significantly more Swift with my own teams. But I think I would rather have Pollard rest of season, as crazy as that sounds. Hopkins to Olave, give me Olave. We are paying Lawrence to get it done on a team that has Kyler. I do like that. I like it a lot. And now, honestly, I think we're just waiting until we get Amon-Ra and Evan Ingram back through the bye. Once we get them back through the bye, I think we should be really excited. Now, Kier says, got offered Fields, Hill, Hopkins for Allen and Diggs. Should we make the trade? Dak is my backup quarterback. Diggs to Tyreek, give me Tyreek. Allen to Fields and Hopkins, give me Allen. I'm okay with it if you view Tyreek as a completely different tier of player over Stephon Diggs. If that is your explanation in doing the deal, sure, go for it. Go for it. But Pop Swiss says, are we out on Myers in Dynasty? Should we trade him for a second? And if it's like an early second where it's a rebuilding super flex team, then sure. Like, I don't necessarily know if there's a ton of upside to that deal. Mighty Joe says 10-team single flex, 6-2. We have Hurts, Pollard, Jacobs, Tyreek, Puka, Laporta, Thielen. And then on the bench, Moss, Javonte, Warren, Deontay, Addison, Nico, Kincaid. Any trade advice? Okay. Very boring advice. We're not looking to do it right now, my friend, but I think we're going to wait until we get Dalton Kincaid through his, wait until we get Sam Laporta through his bye. And then once we have Laporta through his bye, and presumably we have Dalton Kincaid going out there and absolutely crushing in a great matchup against Cincinnati that everybody's going to be watching. I think at that point, if we could go ahead, if we could sell maybe Dalton Kincaid and our flex and go get a stud player for the flex and just start Laporta at tight end every week, we'd look to do that. Now, Big Diesel says trade away Hall Olave for Diggs Pacheco. Give me Diggs over Hall. Give me Olave over Pacheco. I think Diggs is the best player. I think we do it. Chase says non-PPR got offered Edwards, DK, Hopkins for Gibbs and Ridley. Ridley to DK, give me DK. Gibbs to Edwards. Full PPR format, it's Gibbs by a mile. Non-PPR league, it's Gibbs, but it's closer. We're getting Hopkins get it done. You can do it if you really wanted to. The only reason I would consider it, though, is because it is that non-PPR format, right? If it was a full PPR league, I'd say, hell no, you'd be getting crushed. Now let me refresh this so we can keep bringing up these questions. And as I do this, if you have not done so already, ladies and gentlemen, go down there, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems for tonight's game, like I said, you can find that on Underdog. Links in the description, links in the live chat. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And that Derrick Henry special pick of more than less than half a total yard. My favorite pick for tonight's game outside of that will be Will Levis for more than 215.5 total yards. Anthony says, Mason, it's come to this. Douglas is on the wire. We have JSN or Palmer in the flex. Who do we start or even drop? I'm going against Hill. Thanks. Appreciate you, my friend. Start Joshua Palmer. Do not think about it. Please do not start Douglas. Do not do it. Do not do it. Jerry says, 12-team PPR. 4-4 and in 5th place. We have Lamar, Burrow, Barkley, or Madre, Kyron, H. Henderson, Lamb, AJ, Higgins, Hollywood, London, Laporta. Any thoughts or any moves? A great team. I'd say if you wanted to go out there, if you wanted to send Lamar and Ramadre and go get a running back one there whenever we have Joe Burrow, it's a move that we can afford to make, assuming it's a 1 QB league. I'm a flocker coming out saying Heineke or Pickett in a 5-point passing touchdown format. Good matchup for Pickett. We'll probably go Pickett when Heineke, they want to run the ball, and they probably will be able to. Now, P. Smith says 6-2 standard 10-team league. Traded Lamb, Levis, Gibbs for Mahomes and Achane. Did I overpay? Lamb versus Mahomes, up to you. Gibbs, Levis has no value here. Gibbs versus Achane, probably up to you as well. I mean, I think it's fine if you really wanted to do it. It's a great team where we have Barkley, Brees, AJ, Puka, Laporta. I think it's a fine deal where you can make an argument one way or another. I don't want to come out here and act like, oh, my man, let me bow down. The best trade I've ever seen, but I do think it's a fine deal. Anthony says, should I wait to take a chance to see if Demercado plays on Sunday? Or maybe Keontae Ingram, or just take a chance with Najee there? I think, honestly, you probably just play Najee. Demercado wasn't at practice. We have no idea what the situation is going to be like. And even best case scenario, if he does play, then we get a banged up running back in one of the worst offenses in the NFL in a very tough matchup. Now, Duran says, start to Deontay T. Puka. We have Burrow. So, I mean, with Puka, obviously dealing with the Stafford injury, it is very difficult. Probably going to plan on T and Puka and set up a prayer that Stafford plays. Now, Harrison says 12-team PPR 7-1. Traded away Jefferson, Waddle, Puka for Chase. We are just saying that other team that traded away Chase for like Jefferson and another small piece. I would rather have the Chase side. Here, I think maybe is the other end of the spectrum. Where here, I think I would probably rather actually just have Chase. I'm sorry, rather have Jefferson, Waddle, Puka. We have Lawrence, Etienne, Walker, Chase, Myers, Pickens, Thomas, Kmet. If you could trade for Olave, let's do it. But the thing is, once you've made this trade, you have lost all flexibility with this team where we really have no depth at this point, right? So I'm sorry, my friend. I don't necessarily know if we can go out there and we can say, oh yeah, great trade. Because at this point now you're kind of locked and loaded into this roster where I think it'll be very difficult for you to make any other moves here with this team. Cap says, is it time to drop Pierce? Singletary's on the waiver right now. If you wanted to drop Dameon Pierce, I'm not going to fault you for it. He's an injured running back that's been very inefficient in a 3-man running back by committee. So if you wanted to drop Dameon Pierce, I'm not going to fault you for it. Now, Darren says, traded Najee Montgomery Jacoby for Bijan McLaurin. I'm 11-5. What are your thoughts? Give me Bijan over Montgomery. Give me McLaurin Myers, up to you. Paying Najee to get it done. I really like it, but I am very biased. My friend, Hoga Morris, you know I'm always going to say our guy Bijan Robinson. In reality, I do think it's Bijan here. Now, Jason says, should we start Hopkins or Puka? We have AJ Hill as my other receivers. I just traded Mike Evans for Jacobs. My other running backs are Swift, Gibbs, Kyron. I'm going to go Puka over Hopkins. And yeah, great trade for Jacobs there. Great trade for Jacobs. Play Swift and Jacobs at RB. Matt says, what is fair trade value for Puka? Olave, Higgins, DK. I would say I'd probably rather have Puka over all these guys. Maybe if we were making an argument for one, it'd be Olave. We had Jefferson and Mike. Feel like we've gotten the best of Puka this season. It really just does come down to what we are going to get with Stafford. You know, like if Stafford is healthy and if he's good to go, I'd rather have Puka over all these players. If Stafford misses, then I think we probably have two of those guys out of Puka. David says, just turn Rice and Darrell Henderson into Higgins. Is it too much? Hell no. Love the move, my friend. I think we get that upgrade long-term. Darrell Henderson maybe gets you 2 more weeks of low-end RB2 production. Frank says DK, which is questionable, or Deontay Johnson. I'm going to go DK even if it is a tough matchup. As we were mentioning, I'm not super excited to start really anybody here in this game. It does have the lowest over-under of any game this week. So I'm going to be avoiding the Steelers and Titans offenses. Hospital Mike says 12-team PPR. Hey, man, Tajee or Brandon Cooks for the flex? Oh, brutal spot. Cooks will be playing a much higher game going up against Philly, but I don't know. Cooks has had like 4 targets every single week. I think if higher ceiling with Brandon Cooks, higher floor with Tajee. I don't know is the true answer, but thank you so much for everything. And I was going to make you a moderator. You're already a mod. Okay, good. Xavier says 5-3, 10-team non-PPR. We have Amon-Ra, Swift, Fields for Allen and Devontae Adams. Already have CMC, Walker, Hall. Don't need DeAndre Swift. So Fields for Allen, clear upgrade. Amon-Ra to Adams, clear downgrade. We're paying Swift to get it done. No, I understand you don't need Swift here, but to go through and just include him as like a throw-in piece, you can't do it, my friend. You can't do it. Now, Williams says, I have CMC Ayuk on bye. Running backs are Brian Robinson and Breece Hall. Receiver, we have Waddle, Lamb, Dotson. Should I put McBride in the flex instead of Dotson? No, you should go Dotson in the flex. I don't love it, but you do have no Samuel here, so you're a little more excited about Dotson. Now, Unified Mind says start 3. Mostert, Higgins, Stevenson, Hubbard. And trade Kirk for Higgins. Yes, I would go with Higgins. And then for our starting lineup, we're going to go Mostert, Stevenson, and Chuba Hubbard. We have Jefferson, and we're 2-6. Yeah, I think honestly, yeah, just go trade Kirk for Higgins, especially if we're getting the extra week from Higgins. Ryan says full BBR pick 1, Pickens, Flowers, or Jahan Dotson. Okay. I think I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say Flowers. If you had no Deontay Johnson, I would say Pickens, but Deontay playing, it's hard to play Pickens. Now, D-Lang says, do I drop Miles Sanders for Cade Otton? If that's the best side out the waiver wire, then sure, go do it. Go do it. Darren says, with that Bijan trade, my team is now Herbert, Kamara, Bijan, Kupp, Amon-Ra, Thielen. Beautiful. We have Scary Terry, wide receiver 4 here. We have a great tight end as well. Love to see it. We just need to get through this bye week with Amon-Ra and Laporta obviously missing. Ron Burgundy, always happy to see you. Let me go ahead and make you a moderator on the channel, my man. Been out here with us for years. If you're a moderator, you don't have to do anything if you don't want to. If you see someone copying and pasting the same question over and over again in the live chat, you can hit their name and hit put user in timeout if you want to. And say, Mason, my good man, do we have the marbles to start Levis over Stroud? No, I do not, even though I'd love to. Trapped in a glass cage of emotions. Thanks, man. No, thank you. Appreciate you. And yeah, you got to go Stroud over Levis. I mean, Levis and his underdog pick him tonight. It's like 215 total yards, right? It's hard to get there. AM95 says 12-team PPR 4-4. We have Carr, Jacobs, JT, Diggs, Chase, Puka, Everett. And then on the bench, Lawrence, Walker, Laporta, Moss, Charbonnet. Do I trade Puka and Jacobs for AJ? And do I avoid because of depth? Thank you. If we have guys like Walker down there on the bench, I'm completely fine to make this move. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's make this move. Let's go get AJ Brown if you want to, my friend. Caleb says 3 and 5, 10-team BBR single flex. We have Tua, Pollard, Achane, Jones, Kamara, Adams, Kupp, Smith, Andrews. Was proposed Debo and Swift for Pollard and Smith. Thanks. Thank you. Smith to Debo, lateral move up to you. Pollard to Swift, lateral move up to you. I think most people will tell you to go with the Swift side, but honestly, I mean, even though I drafted way more Swift than Pollard this year, I kind of want to tell you Pollard. And that Pollard is averaging like 15 carries per game. He's averaging like 5 receptions per game, so. I don't know. It is very hard for me to get off of Pollard. He's in a great offense. He has the receiving role. He has the red zone role. So even though I didn't draft him, I kind of got to admit, he does project out to be like a borderline top 5 RB. Ultimately, it's a fair trade, and it's up to you. Trailer Park Boy says 10-team full BBR, 3 and 5, leading in points. Traded Hunt for Drake. We have Lawrence, Kyler, Levis, Etienne, Hall, Mixon, Achane, Diggs, Lamb, Olave, Watson, Drake, JSN, Ingram, Kincaid. Any trade ideas? I don't necessarily think that we're going to be making any trades here for this week. After this week, after we get all these guys through their respective buys, then at that point, you cut Will Levis. We'll have Trevor Lawrence and Kyler. And then at that point, we either take Kincaid or Evan Ingram, try to sell one or the other and get an upgrade elsewhere in the starting lineup, right? It's not like you're going to be wanting to play one of these guys at the flex spots, but both of them are so good at tight end that we could extract a decent amount of value out of them if we look to trade them, right? At least in my mind, we could. Now, MLA format fan says, 14-team, 3/4 point PPR. Should I trade Kamara and Atwell or Michael Wilson? So nobody. For Bijan and Singletary. Could use a running back. Thanks, King, you're a legend. I really appreciate you. And because I appreciate you, I need to be fully honest with you. The vast majority of people in this live stream, the vast majority of people with more than 10 brain cells on planet Earth would rather have Alvin Kamara. Now, lucky for me, I do not fall into that bucket. I am in the bucket, and there's a small handful of us, of monkeys that appear as humans and that have fewer than 10 brain cells. And because I want to just say, hook 'em Lawrence, I like my guy, I may go ahead, I may take Bijan Robinson. But with that being said, Kamara does have significantly more value at this point. D-Lang says trade Walker and Charbonnet for Swift and Gainwell. I'd probably rather have Swift's better schedule going forward, but you do actually have Walker already through his bye, so it is up to you. Brady says 10-team full BBR, 3 wide receivers, 2 flex. I'm 5 and 3. We have Burrow, Jacobs, Walker, Chase, Puka, Downs, Goddard, Hopkins, Davis. Phenomenal team, 3 wide receiver, 2 flex, built around wide receiver depth. We have Reynolds, Shaheed, Henderson, Burks, Kyler on any moves. No moves on this team. Depth's going to matter here. We have a very bad bench. So the only thing that I'd say with this team is we need to make sure that we are going through and we are consistently churning waivers. This is going to be a team where the waiver wire matters so damn much, and you need to keep on going through and doing everything we can to backfill some of this depth. Now, Duran says Kincaid or Andrews this week. We're going to go Andrews, even though I am very much excited about Kincaid. Kincaid does have a beautiful matchup as well. Now, Peck Birdman says, Happy BR, Godwin, Addison, or Hopkins in the flex. Very tough. I'd say once Jefferson's in here, it would be easy to go through and it would be easy to just say, go Godwin. But before we have Justin Jefferson, it's a little bit tougher. I just updated my flex rankings this week. I have Godwin 31, Addison 32. It's really up to you between those two guys. I honestly wouldn't. play DeAndre Hopkins, though. I think it's hard to project the volume in this offense. Carlos says start 2, Pickens, Rashee Rice, or Josh Downs. I'm probably going to go... True answer is I have no idea. If you're going to hold my feet to the fire and I had to take a stab and had to guess who's going to be, maybe we would end up just going Pickens and Rashee Rice. Josh Downs, my most drafted guy to this group. Should I start Pickens and wait for the injury report from Downs or bench Pickens? As always, greetings from Mexico. As always, appreciate you, my friend. You can start Pickens. I'm just not super excited about George Pickens here, to be honest. Like, if we are looking at Pickens, Deontay's leading this team in targets. And at the same time, should be a very low-scoring game, should be a very low-scoring offense. Now, Keegan says 18 PBR single flex. We have Lamar, Brees, Bijan, Kupp, A.J. Brown, Kelsey, Kamara. And then on the bench, we have Montgomery, JT, Adams, Amari, T, Ferguson. We have Kyler and HN on the IR. Just gave away DJ Moore, Saquon Barkley. And I got back Devontae Adams, David Montgomery. Okay deal. I don't love it. I do think that we could potentially have a Saquon bounce back depending on the Daniel Jones play. Obviously, I'm not expecting the Giants to be great. I think it does come down to what you expect specifically from this Raiders offense and if it can improve with the change with the coaching staff and quarterback. Tristan says, point per first down, James Cook or Deontay tonight? Probably Deontay at this point. Tyler, always happy to see us, says 12-team double flex PPR league. We have Lamar, Jacobs, Montgomery, Keenan, Waddle, Smith, Olave, Kelsey. And then on the bench, Higgins, Flowers, Connor, Chuba, Watson. Offered Montgomery for Bijan. Any other moves? Full PPR format. I'm going to take Bijan Robinson. Not going to be too close. And then honestly, this is a team with so much depth that if you wanted to go out there and if you wanted to see if we could sell maybe like Chuba Hubbard and Devonta Smith and go get a wide receiver upgrade, we can do so. I mean, Hubbard is that full-blown starting running back at this point. So I think we can get some value out of him from somebody. And obviously, we don't need him with how strong our team is. Ricky says, PBRs are 2, Hollywood, Zay, Kareem, Rice, Hopkins, and Henderson. I'm going to go with Hollywood and Zay Jones. Wombly says 4 and 4, single flex. We have Geno, JT, Swift, Hill, Moore, Pitts, Dotson. Dermicado, JSN, Dobbs, Komet, Charbonnet. Fields and Jefferson. In the struggle, any changes or any moves? I would say if you could pick up Derek Carr to play this week instead of Geno Smith, that's probably going to be something that we look to do. And I completely understand that, yes, we are struggling here for the time being, my friend. In reality, I think you're just going to have to be a little bit patient and wait till we get Jefferson and Fields back. But let me refresh this so we can keep bringing them up. And as we do this, if you have not done so already, ladies and gentlemen, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems for tonight's game, my favorite pick'em's going to be the Will Levis more than 215.5 total yards. You'll also get the Derrick Henry special pick'em more than less than half a total yard. If you use promo code FLOCK, links in the live chat, links in the description, and code FLOCK is also going to get you my rest of season fantasy football rankings and a 100% deposit match. So make sure you take advantage. Let's move this over. Mighty Muffin says 12-team PBR 4 and 4. We have Lamar, Jacobs, James Cook, Amon-Ra, Puka, Laporta, Downs. And then on the bench, Flowers, Lockett, Brian Robinson, Jefferson. Should we trade for an RB? Yeah, if we can, especially if we're about to get Jefferson back. If you can send Flowers and James Cook and go get a running back upgrade, let's do it. Obviously, it's going to be much tougher to do so now that you have Leonard Fournette in Buffalo. Now, Dawson says 10-team, half PBR. 5 and 3, we have Tua, Bijan, Pacheco, Olave, Rice, Henderson, McBride. And then on the bench, Burrow, Debo, Dermicado, Waller, Palmer, Kyron. Just got offered Gibbs, Downs, and Nico for Bijan. Appreciate all the help this year. Appreciate you, my friend. This kind of league where the depth's not going to matter too much. Honestly, I am not going to be super excited to go through and make the play for wide receiver depth. So I would actually rather keep Bijan. Of course, I'm very biased with this, Hugum Lawrence. But I will say a different move that we could look to make now that we have Burrow fully healthy is if you wanted to take, say, Tua and maybe send Tua and Rashee Rice and go get a stud wide receiver from a team that's dealing with a quarterback injury, which obviously there are a million teams dealing with QB injuries right now. I think that'd be a trade that would honestly make a lot more sense. Okay. Now, Yacht says, should I trade Kupp and Pollard for Hall and Puka? Kupp to Puka, give me Kupp. Pollard to Hall, honestly, I would say no. I'm going to keep Kupp and Pollard. Now, to reiterate, it's funny that I turned into the Pollard guy because I have no Tony Pollard. I didn't really draft him at all this year, but it's hard to ignore the workload. I think that he's going to start scoring touchdowns soon. In says 20-team keeper thinking about offering Etienne Smith for CMC Godwin. I would 100% love this move. Even in a keeper league where obviously Travis Etienne is that younger option compared to CMC. We have Puka, Waddle, Deontay, and Judy if you have any other ideas. I would say this would make sense for the other team where the other team maybe is looking a little more long-term. And I know we are dominating this year, my man. So if you want to go out there and just win, let's do it. Now, Joe Jack says, Dynasty Superflex contender. Guy with Diggs is demanding Garrett Wilson in a first. Should I do it? Hell no. Garrett Wilson in a first has much more value, my friend. Margaret Ward says, would you rather battle a chicken to death every time you entered in a car or battle an orangutan once a year, but you get any sword you want? It has to be the orangutan, no? Because the thing is, this is a phenomenal question. I've never heard anything like this. This thing is, if I knew I was going to have to battle an orangutan once a year with a sword, as long as you gave me like a year to train with a sword, obviously an orangutan versus my hands, that's a 50-50 shot. Obviously, I'm joking. We get ripped to shreds. If you give me a year to train, if I get a sword, maybe we have a shot against them. You can't live life. I mean, maybe we die, but the thing is, I can't live life every time I get in a car if I have to battle a chicken. You know, I wouldn't be able to live. But everybody let me know. Are you going to go with the chicken battle every time you get in a car? Or an orangutan battle with a sword once a year? Please spam the chat, chicken or orangutan. And as I wait for your response, we will answer another question. Volami says PBR start 2. Sanders, Amari Warren, thank you. Thank you. We're going to go Amari DeMercado and Jalen Warren, assuming DeMercado's going to go. Obviously cannot play Miles Sanders at this point. Courtney, happy to see you. Says, sup, Mason? Always appreciate you. Pick 2, Gabe Davis, Hopkins, Thielen, and Hubbard. I'm going to go with Adam Thielen and honestly maybe Chuba Hubbard. And then start the Cowboys or Chiefs DSC. Let's go, Flock Nation. Appreciate you. I would say neither. Can we go somewhere else? Going to get some of the best offense in the NFL this week. If I had to pick one, we'd probably go with the Cowboys defense, but I don't want to start them against Philly. Now we got orangutan. Annual Tang fight, sword. Albo says chicken, free food. Yeah, I guess that is true. I mean, it would save your trips to the grocery store for damn sure. Damn sure. But it looks like most people are taking the orangutan. I think a better question would be not every time you get in the car, but every time you wake up, you have to battle a chicken to the death. That would be a close one. Just once a morning. And you get to choose when you do it, but you have to do it with your bare hands. And the chicken specifically, like, it knows it's a battle to the death, not you're just trying to catch it. But Luke says, out of these players, who should we start a wide receiver 2 in a flex? Deontay, Pittman, Henderson, Rachaad White, Chuba. I'm going to go Pittman, wide receiver 2. And for our flex, we're going to go Rachaad White in a full BBR format with the guaranteed volume. Now, Harrison says, I'm logging a wide receiver depth after I got Chase. Trade Myers for Olave. Hell yes. And what kind of value can we get Myers or Walker for? I'm going to actually be looking to hold on to Walker. I think it's going to be a bad part to try to sell him low after a week where you just had, a considerable amount of snaps for Zach Charbonnet, but it's because Walker was hurt. Tilted Above says trade Hurts and James Cook for Herbert and Pacheco in a half PPR format. I honestly probably would rather just have Jalen Hurts. I'd rather have Hurts. Okay, but I think that should be about it. Let me remind everybody, if y'all want to tail me and lose yet again, remember I was the guy who said fewer than under total yards on Jahmyr Gibbs Monday night. My favorite pick'em on Underdog Fantasy this week is not this week, for tonight is going to be Will Levis for more than 215.5 total yards. If you want to tail me on that, promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and the Derrick Henry special more than less than half a total yard. You can find that link in the description in the live chat. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate you. We'll be live after the live stream tonight. After the game tonight, and I hope I get to see you there.